What's up, guys? Haven Shark here, and today we're going to be looking at 15 natural disasters that was caught on tape by Top 15s. Now, I've been in the midst of a couple natural disasters, but the main one that really affected, I wouldn't say affected my life, but the main one that changed my lifestyle was in August 17th when the 2011 tornado hit Tuscaloosa, Alabama. Yeah, it went right through the middle of my town. That was the bad week and a half because we didn't have no power, no nothing. Generators was like going on a sale like crazy. We even ended up having the army there because like people was actually raiding other people's stuff. Like, I don't understand. Maybe I'm not too like bad, or I don't have an evil mind enough to go around and steal people's stuff when a tornado hit. Now, once again, I just think I'm just too nice. Or I probably know that that person probably died from the incident and that I don't want to be hunted, going around thinking I'm some type of grave robber. But I did see a good bit of bodies that day. Finding new every day. Some people was literally carried by that tornado for miles at a time, like 10 miles from where they actually live. That day was bad for us. So, with all this being said, let's see what other disasters that's happened in this cruel, dark world we live in. Links to the original video is in the description down below. Lega.
Number 15. 2011 Tohoku earthquake and tsunami, often credited as the Fukushima earthquake. The Tohoku earthquake made Japan the center of attention for most of 2011 and into 2012. At 2:46 p.m. Japan Standard Time, a 9.0 magnitude earthquake shook Japan for 6 minutes off the coast of the Sendai region in northern Honshu Island. Immediately after, a 40-meter tsunami crashed into the Japanese coast, taking buildings, cars, people, and anything in its path to...
That was actually bad for my job also, because most of our supplies came from Japan. So when they got hit by the tsunami, we wasn't even working for like 8 weeks tops. Like, that was actually the dream job actually at that time. But it wasn't good for them.
Swallowed by the ocean. Both the earthquake and resulting tsunami was captured on video by residents, tourists, and CCTV, perfectly visualizing the violent nature of both. As of March 2015, the National Police released records of a total of 15,893 fatalities as a result of the disaster. The main highlight of the disaster was the extensive damage done to the Fukushima nuclear reactors, resulting in radiation leaking into the surrounding area, resulting in an evacuation of the area following a reactor meltdown worse than the one at 3 Mile Island in Pennsylvania. This has caused heated debate in Japan questioning the practice of nuclear energy into the country, since it is an earthquake hot zone. While the earthquake sent Japan's economy into a deep recession, the country was able to come together and rebuild most of the affected areas within a year. Number 14.
That's actually good.
2004 Sumatra earthquake and tsunami. It was just the day after Christmas in South Asia, and the beaches were packed with Christmas tourists from around the world and locals from the countries surrounding the Indian Ocean. At 12:58 UTC, an earthquake of 9.1 magnitude rocked the Indonesian island of Sumatra, sending a massive tsunami rippling the Indian Ocean and smashing large waves along the coastline. Locals and tourists alike filmed the scene unfolding.
Wait a minute, hold up. I actually heard about this, some of it, not all of it. You see a tsunami coming at you, and the first thing you do is record it. You don't even take the time to record and run, or get your get whatever you can. No, you sit there and record it. I can see if it's a tourist, they don't have nothing there on the island to get. But then again, you can be trapped or at least swept away by the tsunami. You ain't Superman now. You ain't Superwoman. So the first thing you do is record.
Initially expressing surprise over the extent the tides have washed out, While some recognized the danger of this, many remained on the beaches to observe it until it was too late. The waves smashed onto the resorts, and by the end, between 230,000 and 280,000 people were dead, and many more are still listed as missing. A majority of the dead were in Indonesia, and a total of 1.75 million people were displaced. The strength of the shockwave was enough for the tsunami to reach as far as Madagascar, Kenya, and even South Africa, though casualties were considerably low compared to Indonesia.
See, the people that's up top, I can understand, because they think they're a little bit safer than everyone else, but the people that was on the ground, use your head, people.
Sri Lanka and India, which were the most devastated countries affected.
See, like this,
the third largest earthquake recorded in history, and prompted one of the
largest
humanitarian responses, from donations all the way to volunteer and foreign aid relief. Number 13, 2011 Joplin Tornado. Missouri is a state located in the middle of Tornado Alley, and is no.
This is actually the tornado that hit after the one that hit Alabama, and we actually, like, we was bad already, and people was asking us to give to them also because they was suffering the same thing that we was like just went through. Theirs is bad also. It was
stranger to the phenomena. But on May 22nd, 2011, the city of Joplin was struck with a powerful
2011 was a bad year for
tornado,
the whole world,
causing almost complete destruction to the city and surrounding area. As a haven for tornado chasers, many managed to capture the full force of the tornado, which ripped through the area for just over 40 minutes and picked up winds up to 320 kilometers per hour. In the aftermath,
now that this tornado on, I have no doubt that mine's on there. I bet you guys some money.
Residents overlooked the complete devastation as entire neighborhoods were flattened, and many people now found themselves trapped in their homes and overturned cars. 158 people were killed, and 1,150 were injured as a result of the disaster. As procedure, emergency crews were immediately dispatched from across Missouri to aid in the search and rescue efforts, and Governor Jay Nixon declared a state of emergency for the Joplin area. In the early hours of May 23rd, Missouri Task Force 1 reached Joplin, and the rescue efforts began. By 2015, it was calculated a total $2.95 billion in damages. Charity donations and relief supplies soared into the area, and even caught the attention of the royal family of the United Arab Emirates, who donated laptops to 2,200 high school students in the Joplin area, and $5 million to help rebuild the Mercy Hospital, which was destroyed in the disaster. Number 12, Hurricane Sandy. Originating in the Caribbean, Sandy traveled up the entire eastern coast of the United States. The storm is best known for making landfall in New York City, temporarily submerging parts of Manhattan and the other boroughs underwater. The storm lasted.
It was also said, I don't know if he will, let me let him play.
From October 22nd until November 2nd, 2012, dissipating over the Canadian maritime provinces. By that time, 233 people were killed and $75 billion in damages were inflicted. When Sandy hit Jamaica, 70% of the residences were left without electricity, and the flooding caused in Haiti killed 54 people from drowning or waterborne diseases. The hurricane also became a hot topic of the upcoming presidential election, and incumbent President Barack Obama's response to the storm is credited as a deciding factor in his re-election days later. The HMS Bounty attempted to sail the ship out of harm's way, but tragically ran into the storm midway when winds changed Sandy's directions, leading it right into the ship. It sunk 90 miles off the North Carolina coast, killing 2 of the crew, including the captain. Number 11, Slave.
That was the one I was talking about. It was a ship that sailed and was lost. Like, they couldn't find the ship, and I guess they found it. That's so sad.
Lake Wildfires. This small town in northern Alberta, Canada, was engulfed by massive wildfires between May 14th and 16th, 2011. Canada was in its height of its annual fire season, which amounts to approximately 9,000 fires every year around the country.
What?
And the wildfires that occur in Alberta rarely threaten populated areas. However, this particular fire quickly spread into Slave Lake, resulting in a mass evacuation of the town to avoid injuries and fatalities. Many evacuees filmed their flight from the town, showing the bellowing smoke above and the fires breaching the town. In total, 12,000 acres were burned and 433 buildings were destroyed, with a further 89 damaged. In total, 7,000 people were forced to evacuate, resulting in one of the largest displacements in Alberta history.
Oh my.
Among the ruins were the town hall, library, radio station, and local mall. Despite the severity of the blaze, there was only one reported fatality due to a helicopter crash in the vicinity. An extensive investigation into the cause revealed arson was the likely cause of the inferno, though no person as of yet has been charged, and the investigation is ongoing. Number 10, Hurricane Katrina. The fifth hurricane of the
I didn't think they was gonna
2005
put this one
season,
in this,
Katrina
even though this
also
is one of
happened
the worst
to be the most
ones.
severe. Originating over the Bahamas, Katrina moved up to the southern American coast. New Orleans, Louisiana was particularly devastated after the levees meant to protect.
After Hurricane Katrina, we had so many new students that came to our school, and we were just so sad for them. They all appeared fine, but deep down, they was feeling some type of way.
The city from flooding were breached, and gallons upon gallons of water flowed into the city. 108 billion in damages were reported in the aftermath, and between 1,200 and 1,800 people were killed. Katrina remains a high topic of discussion due to the controversial handling of the relief effort, or lack thereof depending on the perspective. The aftermath of Katrina resulted in the resignation of Federal Emergency Management Agency Director Michael D. Brown and New Orleans Police Superintendent Eddie Compass. News stations from around the world showed the almost anarchic nature of the southern coast in the aftermath, seemingly full of lawlessness and desperate people who were stranded. The 2005 storm was the final one named Katrina, as it was retired due to the high death toll and damage caused, making it too ironic and recognizable. Number 9. 2011 Christchurch earthquake. It seemed like a typical lunchtime in the New Zealand city on the 22nd of February 2011, but soon the residents felt the earth violently shake beneath their feet. Christchurch experienced a 6.3 magnitude earthquake, the second largest in the country's history, lasting around 10 seconds and occurring only 10 kilometers from the city center. The devastation was massive, with buildings collapsing all over Christchurch and nearby Lettlin. Home videos surfaced of the quake, showing lunchtime commuters fleeing for their lives and structures crumbling under the immense force of the shaking. Sadly, many people were on the streets and sidewalks during their lunch break, resulting in many people being covered in rubble. In total, 185 people were killed, and between 1,500 and 2,000 were injured, 164 of which were serious. In the aftermath, city emergency officials found themselves pushed to their limits, with hospitals running over capacity, ambulances rushing to go from scene to scene, and the fire brigades desperately trying to put out the fires started from broken gas lines. After a national state of emergency was declared, international offers of relief assistance flooded in, which the New Zealand government hastily accepted. Monetary donations from the Australian federal government and New South Wales totaled 6.5 million New Zealand dollars and 1.3 New Zealand dollars respectively, and an Australian rescue force was immediately dispatched to Christchurch and the surrounding area. 66 members of the Japanese USAR, along with 3 specialists and search and rescue dogs, also descended on the city within 2 days, helping ease the overwhelmed local emergency services. Number 8. Armorero tragedy. The Nevado del Ruiz stratovolcano in Tolima, Colombia, lay dormant for 69 years until November 13, 1985, when it erupted. The surrounding towns were completely caught off guard, and a massive amount of mudslides, landslides, and debris flow buried many of the communities, with their inhabitants now trapped. The floods traveled a staggering 50 kilometers per hour, leaving little time for people to flee. The town of Armorero took the full force of the mudslides, killing 20,000 of its 29,000 inhabitants. The most iconic footage and photographs of the disaster is of Omaria Sanchez, whose legs had become trapped under the debris of her home, leaving her submerged in water up to her neck. Efforts to rescue her failed, and it was determined that there would be no way to save her without amputation. To the surprise of onlookers, Sanchez remained calm through her ordeal, speaking to her rescuers and singing to them. She agreed to interviews in exchange for sweets and soda. After 3 days, Sanchez died from exposure, while her mother and brother survived. The Colombian government came under heavy fire after the disaster, due to there being many warning signs brought before the government but failing to act in time.